Hello, everyone. We are back with another Awesome Ocean Live Q&A. I'm your host, Eric. I'm the editor-in-chief of AwesomeOcean.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin. I'm so happy to be here tonight. I am one of the founding contributors to AwesomeOcean.com and an animal behavior student.
And we have a special guest today. Her name is Kirsten, the Director of Education at the world-famous Dolphin Research Center, located in the Florida Keys. This Q&A is being hosted by AwesomeOcean.com. It's a website that celebrates our oceans and the hardworking people who contribute and are on the front lines of conservation. And so we are very excited to share with you this Q&A. But first, before we get started and we introduce you to our special guest, we have some rules. So Erin, go ahead and give us our first rule for today's Q&A.
Okay, so we really want you guys to get involved. We totally want you to ask questions using the chat box on the side of the YouTube screen. And at the beginning of each segment, we're going to invite you to use that screen to ask questions and give comments, and we'll get back to that at the end of the segment. But negative, bullying, or slanderous comments will not be tolerated, and they will be deleted, and anyone who does post them will be banned for commenting further, and you can bet on that. And we also want you very much to have fun. We want this to be a super fun, interactive experience for everybody. We ask.
All right, I think Erin's audio dropped a little bit, but what we want to do is, again, encourage everyone to have fun. And again, the research, what we're doing for this one is on Twitter. If you are not on YouTube, you can tweet at us at OneAwesomeOcean and at Dolphin Research. Use the hashtag DRCQA, and we will answer your questions that way. And then let's see here. Sorry, all these technical glitches with going live. This is what happens sometimes, folks. So we apologize if, again, we have any technical difficulties. Please stand with us. But now, let's go ahead and get to what we're talking about today, and we're talking about the Dolphin Research Center again. 2 weeks ago, we had this amazing live Q&A with Dr. Kelly Yakola, who explained to us about dolphin cognition and all this cool research. And now we're going to look at the other end of the Dolphin Research Center. We're going to talk about education. And so first, we want to talk about what the mission of the Dolphin Research Center is. Through education, research, and rescue, the Dolphin Research Center promotes peaceful coexistence, cooperation, and communication between marine mammals, humans, and the environments we share, with the well-being of the DRC animals taking precedence. So a brief history of the Dolphin Research Center. It was founded as a nonprofit corporation in 1984 by Jane Shannon Rodriguez and Armando Mandy Rodriguez. Their goal was to ensure the dolphins had a home for life, and in doing so, establish a unique education research facility. The Atlantic bottlenose dolphins and California sea lions, presently living there, provide a range of personalities and backgrounds. Most of the marine mammals family was born at the center, while the other members have either come from other facilities or were rescued, rehabilitated, and deemed unreleasable into the wild by the government, and now have a forever home at the Dolphin Research Center. And Erin, do we have your audio back yet?
I should. Is that fixed?
Awesome. Yes. Perfect.
So the technology,
so Erin,
kind of.
So why don't you go ahead and give us the our guest Kirsten Donald, her biography, and share how cool she is.
Okay, well, we are so excited to have Kirsten Donald on with us. She is a marine mammal scientist and the director of education for the Dolphin Research Center and for the College of Marine Mammal Professions, which are both located in Grassy Key, Florida. She earned her master's degree in marine mammal science from the University of Wales in Bangor, Wales, in the UK. Kirsten began her career with marine mammals, participating in the Dolphin Research Center's college-accredited dolphin lab programs, along with volunteering at the Dolphin Research Center. She has since worked for the Dolphin Research Center for over 17 years, involved in various areas including education, conservation, program development, animal care, and training, research, and population management analysis. So now Kirsten heads Dolphin Research Center's educational efforts through on-site programs, distant learning, and outreach. And more recently, she spearheads the development of the College of Marine Mammal Professions, which offers the first degree program in marine mammal behavior care and training. And that sounds pretty cool to me. Kirsten has greatly assisted in fostering the Dolphin Research Center's philosophy of experiential education, which is the belief that hands-on experience with and around marine animals and their environment creates a strong connection that results in the better stewardship of both. So she's done a lot of stuff and has a lot of expertise, so I'm really excited to hear from her.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Erin.
Yeah, I was going to say, we left out some stuff. She also serves on the Education and Population Management Task Force, the committees, which are part of the Alliance of Marine Mammal Parks and Aquariums, or the AMMPA. She's given presentation at AMMPA Educator Workshops, National Marine Science Educators, and the Florida Marine Science Educators Association conferences, as well as the International Marine Animal Trainers Association Conference, or the IMATA Conference.
Woo! So after all of that, without further ado, we'd like to welcome Kirsten Donald to our awesome Ocean Live Q&A. Welcome, Kirsten.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be talking with you today.
So we went through all of your amazing credentials and your academic achievements, but we want to kind of go back to the very beginning with you, and we want to know, what was your first marine mammal experience?
Well, really, the first marine mammal experience that I can remember is when I was a child. I lived outside of Indianapolis, and I would go to the Indianapolis Zoo all of the time. My favorite area of the Indianapolis Zoo was going to visit with the dolphins there and look through the windows and see them looking back at me. And it was just an amazing experience to see that, as well as get to see the presentations and learn about them. So it was just something that really inspired me all of my life.
Well, that's so cool. And so obviously after that experience, why did you choose to work with marine mammals after visiting with them?
Well, I actually had the pleasure of going to an outreach that was given by a scholarship recipient to Dolphin Research Center's Dolphin Lab programs. And that person had gone on to do a number of outreaches on marine mammal conservation. And I was so inspired by that I had to look into Dolphin Lab, and subsequently found myself at Dolphin Research Center taking multiple Dolphin Labs in 1996, followed by volunteering, and then they couldn't make me leave, so they had to offer me a job. And I fell in love with each and every one of the dolphins there, and have been there ever since.
That's awesome.
So after that, what are some of your favorite memories from working at all the time at the Dolphin Research Center?
That is really tough, because I've been working here for so long, and I have so many gray-faced friends out there that I have so many good memories, and then also just with the people themselves that we connect with on a daily basis. I guess I'd like to share two. One is a person story and one is a dolphin story. My person memory involves a student. It was one of the first students I taught when I started teaching Dolphin Lab myself. And it was a teen who had come to our program, and one of the things that we teach in the program is about dolphin conservation. And we still teach to this day about that subject. And we include what's happening in Japan in the dry fisheries, as well as in the Faroe Island dry fisheries. And this was well before the Cove. And the student was so upset about it. She went back after meeting our dolphins and feeling so connected to them. She wanted to do something on their behalf. And so she went back to her school. She talked with the teachers, and she was able to give presentations to all of the school, and subsequently got all of the students, or at least a great deal of them, to write letters to the Prime Minister of Japan, which she then sent off. And while the dry fishery is still going on today, the cool thing is that she was so moved to try to make change in the world and impact other people. So that was a big moment in my life. The other, another kind of cool story from the dolphin perspective, and this really helps me understand how interesting they are and how fascinating and how their minds work. We do something at Dolphin Research Center that's a lot of fun called Doc Time, and all of the staff get to participate in it. And what it means is we go down and visit the dolphins in between sessions, and sometimes before and after work. And there's no food involved. We just go down, and if they're interested, they come over. And in fact, most times they do. And they often bring a big glob of seaweed with them and want to play seaweed toss. And so Pandora, who I call the little Einstein of our family, she came over with a big glob, and we were playing a fantastic game of seaweed toss. And we always end on a positive note, so I got up and started walking away. Well, she was not done. She followed me down the boardwalk and threw the seaweed back in front of my feet. So I was a big pushover, and I threw it right back at her, and then she threw it behind me toward the dock. And I thought, well, wow, how far is she going to take this? So I picked it up, threw it back at her.
Yeah.
Threw it right behind the dock on the boardwalk, and I walked over and threw it back at her, and then she threw it right on the dock where I'd been sitting. So effectively, she led me all the way back down to the dock because she wanted to keep playing. And so it always reminds me that they have this great interest in interaction, and they're just as fascinated as we are with them. And it's those moments that I love sharing with people, especially with the guests. The guests see that, and they go nuts because it's just such an amazing thing to see that dolphins want to engage with us.
I love it. I love that she was making you play fetch.
Yes.
So one thing we want to know is what do you believe that the Dolphin Research Center's role is in today's world?
Well, I think that there are two big key roles for Dolphin Research Center as well as every marine mammal facility. I think we all play this role. The first of which revolves around research. We have to know what these animals are all about, what their needs are. We need to figure out how they tick. And that's really what marine mammal facilities have done for our knowledge of dolphins. The vast amount of knowledge about dolphins has come from dolphins in human care. That's the foundational knowledge. And that has allowed us to not only understand them better, but to be able to assess the health and well-being of wild dolphins, and that's tremendous. And I think that our research coupled with field research gives us a much bigger, more robust picture and understanding of dolphins. But in addition, I think what is equally important is education. And really the other role of marine mammal parks and aquariums is that we provide a forum for the public to come into our facilities and interact with these wonderful creatures. And it's a safe way to interact. It's actually illegal to interact with marine mammals in the wild by the Marine Mammal Protection Act. It's very dangerous for the animals simply because of the fact that if they are encouraged to be around boats, it's been scientifically shown that they are hit by boats or entangled in fishing line and die more often. And so it's just very dangerous to interact with them in the wild. But yet people want to have that connection, and so we provide that connection through interactive experiences. And what's amazing about interactive experiences and interacting with them one-on-one is the fact that it causes people to forge an emotional connection, and that emotional connection really creates a sense of caring. And that caring is the catalyst to conservation. And what I mean by that is that it's not enough to give a person information. In order for that to change the world, they have to care. If you give them information, you have to cause them to care, and it's that caring that really causes that change and changes the world to be better on behalf of these animals.
That's incredible.
That's so important, and that's so relevant now today with all these conversations about conservation and cetacean welfare and everything. So we are going to look now at some fan questions that have been asked during this first segment. So Nessa Collins wants to know, what makes the Dolphin Research Center unique?
Well, I think our uniqueness really comes from our animals themselves. As I mentioned with the Pandora story, where she likes to play seaweed toss with us outside of her sessions, that's really been encouraged in our animals, and I think guests are amazed when they see that. From the time that they're babies, they don't really have any interest with food with us. They're interested in us because, wow, there's these two-legged things that look very strange above the water, and they're fascinating. So they're equally fascinated with us. And I think when people, when they've been brought up that way, what happens is they seek our attention out. And people are fascinated when they see us popping down on a dock, interacting with them, and the dolphins come over or try to solicit our attention. And I think the best example of this, honestly, is a wonderful dolphin that I know named Rainbow. He's one of our older gentlemen, and he likes to sit on the edge of his lagoon, and people will walk past, and due to where he sits, sometimes he can be missed, where people don't see him, and so he screams his head off when people walk by, and it causes, of course, exactly what he wants, and that is people walking back so he can people watch. And so they walk back and they stop and they look at him, and then they get bored because he's just staring at them, and then they start walking away. Well, what does Rainbow do? He screams his head off, and the people walk back. So in essence, he's teaching them to walk back and forth. But it's that fascination that people see. They're like, wow, this dolphin is interested in me, just like I'm interested in him. And it really forges that connection, and people are just tickled by that. But it causes them to, wow, I really care about this animal because he's special.
Definitely. that's a great story.
It sounds like your dolphins are really good at training people.
They're fantastic at training people. They are the most chatty dolphins, we've been told, and they train people more often than we train them. I actually had a student that I took down on the dock to learn how to give signals, and one of our matriarchs named Teresa was a champ at training people to give signals. The student was supposed to do a left-handed signal, and she put her right hand out, but then gave the signal with her left hand, and Teresa just sat in front of her. And then I said, well, you have to do the whole signal with your left hand. And so she then put her finger out to station Teresa with her left hand, and Teresa took off. She didn't even need to see the signal. It was, you did the whole thing. You've got it now. I just want to make sure.
Oh,
and it's those moments that people remember, and it causes them to really want to do something and connect with the animals.
Man, that sounds awesome. So, Gumberland Jester wants to know, my guess is looking at your backdrop there, is he wants to know, do the dolphins ever leave or work in the open ocean?
We get that question a lot. The Navy actually has successfully worked with dolphins untethered in the open ocean. It's no secret that they can do that, and they're happy to do it. We don't do that. We did a long time ago try that, and the dolphins were just not really thrilled about it. Our dolphins, obviously, if you ever watch our dolphins doing any kind of physical fitness activity, you can see that they can jump well beyond the height of our fences. And in fact, that we had a hurricane, and behind me you can probably see the big long tiki that bisects our causeway. We had a hurricane that resulted in a big flood, and that flood went up to the skirt of the tiki that is above people's heads. Obviously, the dolphins could swim back and forth, and not one dolphin left during that time frame. In my 18 years at DRC, we've only had one dolphin go outside of our fences, and it's pretty funny. We call him our little wanderer. It's AJ, and AJ, one of our fences blew down in a tornado, and he actually swam around the back of the facility and broke in with two of the pretty girls, and he decided he wanted to start dating. Now, one of them was really receptive and interested in dating him. The other one said boys are yucky, so it worked out halfway for him.
All right. And one more question here before we move on to segment 2 is Kirsten Myers wants to know, do students ever get to participate in the research DRC does? But I think we'll get into more of that later too, but I will start there.
Absolutely. We have a number of programs that allow people to get involved with our research, whether it be just for a day or a week, or even in our college programs. They learn how we do it, learn how we ask the questions, learn the methodology, but then also participate in setting up the research, implementing it, designing their own research projects, as well as learning how to take behavioral observations, because that's important data as well, not just the actual cognition questions that we do.
Certainly.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our first segment. So that's all about DRC and your early career there, and really how you got started in this field. So now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about the educational offerings at DRC. So just to start out, what kind of education programs is the Dolphin Research Center involved in?
Well, I think that everything that we do here is educational. It's all infused with education. In fact, everything that we do is aligned with national and state educational standards, down to our signage, our narrations, everything. But we have a variety of daily guest programs, but we also have educational programs that are offered specifically for people that want more in-depth information. And so we offer field trips for schools, we offer outreach programs, we do distance learning like we're doing right here, right now, but we actually bring the camera down with the dolphins. We've beamed our dolphins to Canada before and to different classrooms across the United States, so that's a lot of fun. It's fun when you get kindergartners because they go nuts and they have a good time. They love asking the dolphins for a behavior, so we teach them how to ask signals, and then the dolphin goes off and does a behavior, so that's a lot of fun for them. But we have our week-long programs, which are from for middle schoolers on up. We have middle school age ones, teenage ones, some for college, some for adults. We have let's see, our college program, and when I say college program, I mean we've established the College of Marine Mammal Professions, and that includes the first degree program surrounding marine mammal behavior care and training specifically. So that's really exciting for us as well.
That's very.
That's a lot.
The chair is being very lively too, so we have a lot of great questions for at the end of the segment. So our next question is, what is the benefit to in-person hands-on learning versus just watching YouTube video or documentary or reading a book?
I love that question, simply because a lot of people will read a book or video or watch a video, and I think that they both have merit. They are the first step to getting people interested. However, when you look at a book or watch a video, while you're gaining knowledge and information, and you may appreciate pictures and video, there's still a bit of distance there where you don't necessarily make or forge a deep connection, an emotional connection. And so programs with animals where you get to experience them up close and personal really cause people to connect with the animals, and that's, like I said before, the start of them caring. When you connect with them, you start to care, and when you care about them, that's the vehicle for change, because that's what motivates people to action, which is really exciting. And I can give you a really good example of that in that we had a group from Gateway High School in Aurora, Colorado come to Dolphin Research Center for Dolphin Lab in 1989. And around that time, the tuna industry was still killing dolphins. There was no dolphin safe label at that time. And what ended up happening is this group was taught about the tuna industry and what it was doing to dolphins, the millions upon millions of dolphins that were dying. And they went back to their school district and they petitioned the entire school district and got tuna banned in the entire district. And that caught the ear of not only a number of restaurants who then subsequently banned tuna from the restaurant, but StarKist actually listed as a reason that they adopted the dolphin safe label, that the peer pressure that they were seeing and the fact that kids cared about the dolphins, that it was enough for them to want to do the same. And just showing that these kind of programs have that direct impact and cause that kind of change really is enough for me to say, yes, they are incredible and make that kind of change.
Well, that's awesome.
That's a really powerful story. I mean, it really shows the direct real-world impact of what's going on at places like the Dolphin Research Center.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned it a couple times. What exactly is the College of Marine Mammal Professionals?
Well, the College of Marine Mammal Professions is something that we started a couple of years ago, and we're really, really proud of it. It's something that has been, I think, needed for a very long time. Working with marine mammals is a very it's a profession, and it requires a lot of skill and expertise. These animals are very different than terrestrial species, and our Dolphin Lab students in our college accredited programs, have been asking for a long time, where can I go to school for this? Where can I get a degree in working with marine mammals and learning how to train them? Because they are so different than zoo animals. And we looked around and we realized there were no higher degree programs that were licensed in the United States, specifically focused on the behavior care and training of marine mammals. And so we decided, well, wow, we have this great foundation by Dolphin Lab, and we can expand upon that. And we created a licensed college that has the first associate degree in marine mammal behavior care and training, which allows people to get that experience, because the other frustration that students had was the fact that they were told continuously when applying for a job that you need 2 years of experience. Well, if you need 2 years of experience, well, where are you supposed to get that if you don't have a job? And and you can get it from some internships, but a lot of times facilities are looking for more than just the internship experience. And so this really gives them that experience, but it also allows employers to understand that who they're getting from this program is somebody who really, truly understands the theory and the knowledge behind caring for and training these animals.
Wow. That's cool. So you mentioned Dolphin Lab a number of times. So what is the Dolphin Lab?
Well, Dolphin Lab is really near and dear to my heart because it's what got me to Dolphin Research Center. They are a series of week-long college-accredited programs that you can take, and there are 5 of them. The first one is called Basic Dolphin Lab, and it's, in all honesty, my favorite, simply because it surveys a tremendously wide amount of knowledge on dolphins, from dolphin ecology, reproduction, physiology, acoustics, training, husbandry, research, marine mammal law and conservation, and more. So, it's a mouthful. And but in addition to those subjects, people get to interact with the dolphins and in their own setting, and they get to also see us working with them. They get to work with them themselves. They get to see the research. They get to participate in the research and participate in the dietary prep. They in one of the labs, they get to learn what it's like to train a dolphin, feed a dolphin, ask for signals, how to bridge a dolphin, then also how to train a new behavior to a dolphin. And so it's a really in-depth experience that we've then gone on to actually adapt to younger age levels, and that includes middle school groups for our dolphin camps, as well as our for teenagers for our Teen Dolphin Lab program. And it's the same premise, but it's just adapted to those age groups.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that sounds like a real good deal to me. I know there's a lot of people in the chat room that are interested in that.
Yeah.
That's got everyone.
I'm like looking at my calendar. When can I do this?
Oh, they're coming up. Sign up.
All right. So we have a ton of questions. Actually, we're going to interject with some questions here because so many are coming in. So first, some people wanted to circle back, and they wanted to know that they wanted to question really quick before we jump into these. Actually, yeah, they want to know a little bit about how do you pick your interns, and what are some of the things that the DRC does with the internships. That Kylie Rings wants to know that.
Okay. Well, our internship is very diverse. We have internships in different areas. We have research internships that focus on our cognition research, our behavioral research, as well as a new research endeavor that we've started, and that is our field research program. We are now looking at the dolphins in the Middle Keys, the wild dolphins, and no one has ever looked at the Middle Keys dolphins before, and so our interns actually help us with that field research so that, if we should ever have another oil spill that affects the Keys, that we should be able to assess the impact on those animals. But we have education internships, and those internships allow education interns to practice teaching for the public. They get to narrate to the public. They give presentations to the public. They're involved in outreaches, in kids programs, and so they get heavily hands-on involved. Our training internships are focused obviously around training and our animals. There's a lot of dietary prep work that the students get involved Yeah, they get really fishy. You got to have a strong nose for that. But they also help the trainers on sessions where they learn about the training and assist trainers in the different behaviors that they're working on. And so we have a wide variety. We even have internships in our visual communications department where you can learn about photography of the animals. And so there's a lot to choose from.
Oh, hear that? Photography, everyone.
Yeah, I know we've got some photographers on here, so there's just sounds like there's just a lot for people that really want to sort of start their journey.
Yeah, we like to share everything that we do. There is nothing at DRC that's behind the scenes at all, and so we just take everybody along for the ride. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, circling back to Dolphin Lab a little bit, what do you want guests to learn from when they do Dolphin Lab?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think the biggest take home is just that they make a very strong connection and also learn the importance of going out into their community and not only changing practices in their own lives that will benefit the environment and make it better for marine mammals, but also try to share those practices with other community members, whether it be adopting buying organic or using earth-friendly products, things like that. But also the other aspect of Dolphin Lab that we really want to share is just what is a career with these animals like. A lot of people wonder, they're not sure that that's what they want to do, but they'd like to try it out. And before they go whole hog into our associate's degree program, they either want to come for a day or they want to come for a week and really see, is this for me? And 9 times out of 10, yep, they're right on. They realize that, yes, I want to do this because it's awesome. But every now and then you get somebody that, oh, wow, I didn't realize that entailed fish house and sorting fish, and it's kind of smelly. So, but, it's a great way to dip your feet into the career of people who give marine mammals.
That's awesome.
So cool. So, aside from Dolphin Lab, what are your camp programs that you offer?
Well, the camp programs are similar to Dolphin Lab. They're week-long programs where kids are sent to our facility for camp. They're filled with really fun activities that get at different aspects of dolphins. We have activities that help them understand the physiology and biology of dolphins, but also understanding the conservation of the animals. They participate in activities with the animals, whether it be the in-water program where they get to do dorsal toes and things like that, but also sometimes they get to create enrichment devices for the animals. Probably the most fun for them is creating Jell-O for the animals. We feed our animals gelatin. It's not the kind that we eat from the store shelves. It doesn't have sugar in it, but they'll sometimes sneak fish in them or create ice cubes with fish sticking out, and the dolphins just think it's a great treat. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So one question we got was from Haley Kirsten, Kirstner, I apologize, Haley, is what degree do you recommend a trainer to go to school to get, if not the Dolphin Research Center? And also, what degree do you recommend for someone wanting to visit and do dolphin-assisted therapy?
Okay, well, of course, I advocate the College of Marine Mammal Professions if you want to get a job in the training field. It's certainly by far the most in-depth way to get hands-on experience and understand it, the career you're walking into. However, if that's something that you can't do and you want let's say, a bachelor's degree, a lot of trainers tend to pursue psychology degrees, because what you're doing when you're working with marine mammals at a facility is you're working with their behavior, and you're working with psychological principles of modifying behavior. And so many trainers do that. Some get a dual major in psychology and biology. With regard to the special needs, really people who work with dolphins and people with special needs tend to be therapists. The therapists, however, and this is something that is quite often confused, and that is that people who do the therapy with the dolphins are therapists that work with the people. It's the trainer that actually works with the dolphins. So the trainer guides the dolphin while the therapist works with the person.
Very cool. I know we're going to circle to that here a little bit, but now we had another fan question. Gumberlin wanted to know if the dolphins at the DRC ever interact with wild pods of dolphins that might come within proximity.
You'd be amazed how many times that's asked, being in a natural environment. Our perimeter fences have an additional buoy line that goes beyond our perimeter fences, and generally the wild dolphins that pass by don't come underneath that buoy line. Sometimes they do, and there's really nothing prohibiting them from coming up to our fence line. And so there are times where they've stopped by and they've peeked in, and I've got to imagine for a wild dolphin that's got to be crazy, because all of a sudden, in the wild, these animals that are coastal usually spend time in groups of 2 to 12 animals in less than 10 feet of water. So when you hear 24 dolphins whistling and making bird call sounds and things like that, it's probably got to be like, whoa, what's going on under there? What kind of party is going on? And so it's no wonder that the dolphins, wild dolphins, stop by to check it out. And it's really funny because I've seen different reactions from our dolphins. If it's female dolphins, usually the males are like, hey, baby, and they're really interested and they're looking and they're showing off, whereas, the females at that point are a little not so happy. Now, if they're male dolphins, usually our male dolphins get kind of like they're puffing out their chests, they're slamming their tails and making squawking noises like, these are our ladies, leave them alone. Whereas the girls then turn on the charm and say, oh, you look pretty handsome. I have actually seen one time, I remember witnessing this, where we had a female dolphin and a calf come up to our fences, just outside our fences, not directly in contact. And Santini, one of our female dolphins that was born here, went over and looked at her for a little while, and then all of a sudden uttered a really loud squawk sound, and that mom and baby took off so fast it wasn't even funny. And I'm just like, obviously Santini said something extremely rude to them. So it's always fun to watch the reactions to the wild dolphins. But on the whole, I'd say wild dolphins just pass by. They don't necessarily always stop at our fences.
And then the other question, kind of related to that, is do you ever get any interesting wildlife in your facility?
Oh, yes. I've seen many an oddball creature in our lagoons. Our lagoons are obviously, our fences have holes for the water to go through so that we have a nice water flow. What that does is it allows little small fish to come in. Once they grow, they can't find their way back out again, and so what that means is they're fair game to be dolphin toys. And I've heard about this at other facilities too, where dolphins like to play with other life forms that are smaller than they are, and so I have seen Pandora pick up small nurse sharks and hold on to them like dolls and have them under her pecten or on her head, and it's really, really quite funny. Usually we try to rescue whatever wildlife they've decided to play with before they harm it. Santini's really great at catching parrotfish, but instead of just carrying them, she likes to toss them around like footballs till the stuffing comes out. And so we usually try to make a trade and say, here's a herring, you don't want to eat that parrotfish, so I'll trade you. And sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. I think one of the most interesting things we had was we had an alligator crocodile.
Oh boy.
And they sometimes migrate down into the Keys from the Everglades, and we had a very small one after a storm wander into our lagoons. And the funny thing is the dolphins were afraid of it, but the crocodile was equally afraid of the dolphins. So the dolphins were staying on one side of the lagoon, the crocodile was on the other until Fish and Wildlife could get there and we could let the crocodile out. So it was really pretty funny.
And then Desiree Prado wants to know, circling back to our education questions, was how old does a child have to be to join the program at the Dolphin Research Center or to do a program?
Well, it depends on which program, but if we're talking about Dolphin Camp, I'm going to assume it's Dolphin Camp that she's inquiring about. We generally start them off at the age of 10. So we have classes for age 10 and up. Now that said, we have daily public programs that they can be younger than 5 to participate as long as they have a family member with them. And so we have kids of all ages participating in different programs.
Very cool.
So with that, with camp programs, what do you hope the kids take home after camp if you're a 10-year-old and you go to a camp program at the Dolphin Research Center?
Well, I hope that they're really excited about dolphins. That is just so gratifying to me to see them walk away with a love of wildlife and to understand that they impact that wildlife. That's our biggest mission here, is to help them connect with that wildlife, help them connect to our dolphins, and then understand that they have a responsibility for environmental stewardship. And it's really wonderful to see these kids say, I'm going to go home and tell my mom to use canvas bags at the grocery store. I want her to stop using plastic bags. You know, and my mommy uses Clorox, and I'm going to tell her to stop. You know, and so they really actually go home and affect their parents, and then they get other kids excited because they're going to tell their friends about this wonderful experience they had, share their pictures. Sometimes they even get do dolphin painted art where they'll take a t-shirt down. Dolphins are great Picassos. They're very good artists, and the kids love that because it's something tangible they can take home. But then they wear it to school and it becomes a talking piece, and then they're sharing all of this wonderful information, because if you've ever met a young child, you know that they love to share information that they're excited about. And it's exemplified, honestly, in when you ever do a narration for a child. At a certain age, you have to worry about whether or not they're going to really ask a question or tell you a story. And so that really shows that they love sharing information naturally. So that's really what we want them to do, is get excited, but then want to share that knowledge and hopefully make changes in their own life. And even at the young age of 10, they do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's sounds like, DRC can really reach people of all ages and kind of abilities. But so that sort of wraps up our segment on the educational offerings. So we are now going to move really quick into segment 3 and just talk about dolphin programs kind of in general and all the other ones that you operate. So if anybody has any questions about the dolphin programs at DRC in general, just go ahead and put them in the chat box and we will get back to them. So our first question is, what types of dolphin programs outside of the ones we've already discussed are available at Dolphin Research Center?
All right, well, we have a great variety of daily guest programs. I love the fact that we offer so much. When I first got to DRC, we offered our Dolphin Encounter program, which is an in-water program, and our Dolphin program. And that was pretty much it. I think we had one other program where people got to come down and do signals with the dolphins, but we've greatly expanded since then. And it was with the knowledge that not everybody has the means to do a deep water program. Also, they might be uncomfortable getting in the water. Not everybody swims well. And so we offer our Meet the Dolphin program where people can come down and just see what a dolphin feels like. And that's a tremendous moment for them. Sometimes we take that for granted, but just touching a dolphin is an amazing experience. And I love hearing the stories of what they think they feel like. But we also offer our Play with the Dolphin program. That's a big winner with kids. Just the fact, dolphins love to play with toys, so do kids. So it's a perfect match. But then we have another favorite of mine is our Dolphin Explorers program, and that builds on our cognition research, and it helps people come down on the dock and really see how our dolphins solve problems. They play thinking games with the dolphins and get to see them, those wheels turning in their head, and it's another connection moment for them that just never leaves them. And then, of course, we have what a lot of places have, and that's our in-water programs. We have a wade-in program, but also a dolphin encounter where you get to do dorsal toes with the dolphins and really feel their power and their grace. And it's just one of those lifetime moments that people don't forget. And honestly, we hear people talking about it 20 years later. I just had a gentleman come out onto the causeway the other day, and he goes, Where's Talon? I swam with him 20 years ago. Well, Talon is now like 24 years old, so he was only 4 years old when this man swam with him. So it was amazing that he remembered that moment and was still excited. And in fact, there have been 2 studies done about interactive programs and the value of them and how much people still remember those experiences and how they affect their lives positively.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I know, me personally, I always remember the moments, when you look into their eyes for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so, one of the things that you talked about a little bit that we want to kind of circle back to is what kind of work does the Dolphin Research Center do with the wounded warriors? I'm very curious about that.
Well, our work with the wounded warriors is an incredibly gratifying experience. I think it's definitely a favorite of all of us. And it's really inspired by our co-founder, Mandy Rodriguez. He's an amazing man. He himself is a veteran, and he really says that the dolphins were what really helped him after he came home from Vietnam. That it made a tremendous difference in his recovery from that experience, and he wanted to share that with other veterans that were suffering. And so we embarked on embracing wounded warriors, and now we actually do a number of different programs with them. We are involved with the Soldier Ride, which is a cycling event through the Keys, and it culminates with them stopping at Dolphin Research Center for a half a day and interacting with the dolphins. We also have something called Project Odyssey program that we are involved with. It's a 3-day retreat with warriors that have traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress syndrome. We have veterans and their families after they've returned from war come with their families, and for many of them it's the first time experience that they have a positive experience with their families after coming back. And then finally we also interact with the families of the fallen, and those are the families, the spouses, and the children of those people who have died in war. And it's about creating new memories for them and positive memories to keep going on in their lives.
You guys, it looks like you guys do a lot of pretty amazing work with the veterans, and I think that's something that really should be commended. Now, do you have do all the dolphins participate in those programs? Or dolphins that work with the warriors?
Well, most of our dolphins do work with the warriors. I think it's really pretty amazing because what they do is they inspire confidence in them, in the fact that these guys are coming back. A lot of them have wounds that they're getting used to. They're learning to get used to them, and getting in the water, doing something new, they realize that they can handle new experiences, and it helps them adapt to those new experiences, confidence to face them. And what's really amazing is we have this one special little dolphin. They're all special, but we have one little guy that they really, the warriors really gravitate to, and it's his name is Jax, and Jax has a unique story. He was attacked by a bull shark in the wild when he was a baby and lost his mom, and he bears significant scars on his body from that experience. Wow. And he made a home at Dolphin Research Center, and now actually participates with the warriors. And the warriors really connect with him because they can see that Jax fought his own battle and survived, and he's now happy and integrated into life. And it really helps them understand that even though they have these battle scars and these wounds, that life goes on and they can be just as successful as Jax. And it's just amazing to share that. But then in addition, what's really neat is our board members and our steering committee decided that, since Jax was making such an impact on these warriors, that they would award every warrior that came through a Jax tail. We have these wonderful jewelry that are replicas of all of our dolphins' tails. And Jax is really unique because half of his tail is gone from that shark attack. Yeah. And some of the warriors have even told us that they use that when they are lacking confidence. They start rubbing that tail, and it reminds them of Jax, and it reminds them that they are just fine and they can be successful.
Wow.
That's a really powerful story.
Oh.
Wow.
That's really good. I want to meet Jax now.
I know. That's really a dolphin celebrity. So we've talked about a lot of reasons, but if you had to pick one reason to go to the Dolphin Research Center, what would it be?
Well, I can't give you just one because there are 28 special reasons, and that is our 24 dolphins and our 4 California sea lions. They are amazing animals. They're part of our nonprofit mission to educate the public. And by coming to Dolphin Research Center, not only are you going to help entertain them, which is what they like best. You walk into our facility, and every animal in our facility loves to people watch, and they sometimes will even throw balls at you in hopes that you will throw it back. So you're truly helping them entertain them. But in addition, you're helping support them, and you're helping their mission, and that is to hopefully spread the word to help their wild cousins by treating the planet better.
Oh, I think that's awesome. And the final question before we get to some of these fan questions to wrap up some of the fun ones is, what do you hope any day guest takes away from their experience at the DRC?
Well, I hope they take a great love of the animals away, and I kind of have been saying this throughout the entire time, and that is just the true mission of every marine mammal facility is to inspire people to care about these animals, and so that they will walk away and still remember them in their daily lives, because that's what it boils down to. Every person on this planet makes decisions in their daily lives, whether it be an adult or a child. And if we can affect those decisions in a positive way, such that we're treating the planet better, and therefore these animals have a chance at survival rather than living in a polluted place. And that's what we're doing to it. We are dumping pesticides and all sorts of nasty things in the ocean and making it unlivable for them. And by them connecting here, we really are seeing people walking away and making changes that will hopefully create a domino effect and therefore make the planet a healthier place.
That's pretty incredible. I actually want to see, before we wrap up this segment, we talked a little bit about how people come back and they remember 20 years ago they had their dolphin experience and they remember everything. And I actually had my first dolphin experience at Dolphin Research Center when I was 5.
Really?
Yes. I was, we were down there for Christmas, and it was my Christmas present because I really wanted to go meet a dolphin. So I went when I was 5, and it wasn't an in-water, it was one of the, I think, just meet and greets on the side, and yeah, I got to meet Kibby, actually. So I know.
Kibby is actually one of the dolphins that inspired the college. Actually, he really touched a number of students' hearts, and that's why actually our college has a scholarship named after Kibby, because he has been so inspiring to so many people.
That's so cool. I did not know that.
And here we're just going to ask a few fan questions, just going to wrap things up, everyone. So you have just a few more seconds to ask a few questions, and any questions we don't get to, what we'll do is we'll do kind of the same thing that we did with Dr. Kelly Yakula, where we'll put them in an article that we'll put up later next week. But people want to know, do you accept interns from outside of the U.S.?
Oh, yes. We accept interns from all over the world, and volunteers for that matter. A lot of people are interested in interning, but keep in mind, the interning program is very competitive, and so that if while you're waiting for an internship, you still have the option to volunteer at Dolphin Research Center and do many of the things that our interns do. And it's a great way to get to know the facility and spend time around the animals and learn, because all of our interns and volunteers are welcome at our seminars and workshops and things like that, so they can gain great education just by coming as a volunteer as well.
And then since we talked about dolphins so much, we had a sea lion question.
Oh, we can't forget the sea lions.
So we got to show some sea lion love here just really quick before we wrap things up. We've gone long, everyone. This has been such a great Q&A. So Kyle wants to know, how is Diamond the sea lion getting along with the other sea lions, and is she a bit of a prankster? I don't.
She's a bit of a prankster. Well, she is doing wonderfully. She's getting along very well with the other 3 sea lions. She happens to be a similar age to Lena. Lena is one of our female sea lions who stranded as a pup, and she stranded 5 separate times.
Wow.
And each time she was emaciated. And on the 5th time, the stranding response crew found her begging from people on their porches, which obviously is very dangerous for people if she were to grow up. And so the government decided that she obviously couldn't feed herself and asked us to take her. And we had at the time and still do, our elderly female sea lion, Karen, who is close to 30, and our older male sea lion, Kilo, who's in his teens. And so Lena was very young, and so it was nice to actually bring her a companion that was closer to her age. Now, that said, I will say that Lena and Diamond integrate really well with Karen and Kilo. In fact, Lena tends to dominate Kilo, even though she's like maybe a quarter of his size. She lets her jump on him and bite him and things like that, and boss him around, which is really quite funny because I think he's waiting for the opportunity to impress her later on in life. And Diamond seems very comfortable hanging out with Karen a lot, and it's really cute because she has a very different bark than Lena or any of our other sea lions. So she's very distinctive, and she's gotten very used to the habitat, is very curious, and so it's a lot of fun to watch her integrate.
So good. We love our sea lions. They do have very different barks, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Each individual. Yeah, you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want to thank everybody so much for sending in your questions. We have to wrap up now, but we have one last question for you, and that is, when is the best time to visit the Dolphin Research Center, and how do you go about doing that?
Okay, I would say, well, any time is the best time, but if you were to ask me when would I visit, I would visit in October and November. The reason being is we have the best weather in October and November, also in January. Those 3 months of the year are the most beautiful months in the Keys, period. And so I really enjoy those months. It tends to be a little bit quieter then too, and so it's a nice time to visit with the sea lions and the dolphins, and you don't have the long lines in the Keys to other things that you want to do, such as snorkel trips out to the reef and things like that. So, but yeah, we are down in the Middle Keys on Grassy Key, which is about halfway between Key Largo and Key West. So you just fly into Miami, and then either get a shuttle or rent a car and drive on down.
Oh, that's sounds
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Let's do it right now.
We encourage, yes. So we encourage everyone to visit our friends at the Dolphin Research Center. But we want to take a moment and thank Kirsten Donald again for joining us for this Awesome Ocean live Q&A. And we want to thank everyone for participating. The questions were great. Everyone's interaction was great. Everyone did a great job at keeping things very civil and very positive. And so we recommend that you please follow the Dolphin Research Center on Twitter at Dolphin Research, and then follow Awesome Ocean at One Awesome Ocean. We'll be doing another Q&A in 2 weeks. We can't announce who it's with yet because we're finalizing some details, but we will be doing another one in 2 weeks. And so, again, Kirsten, I want to thank you for taking so much time with us and answering so many questions.
Well, it's my pleasure. You guys are doing great work, and it's such a fantastic thing to be a part of it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone, until next time, and keep being awesome and loving our ocean.
Awesome Ocean.